So to go back to the incumbency thing here, if you were to say, like a match day 23, that you would have a lot of confidence to be durable, what does that kind of look like now?
I think there is that. So I think, and here's why I think it's always been a little bit of a BS thing. If it were a knockout for the Rugby World Cup, I do think they do know who the incumbents are.
Well, if you look at our last World Cup, they played the exact same team in every single match in the playoffs.
Yeah.
One
So
point.
it's just that they don't grade, they don't rate an opening match in the Rugby Championship against the Wallabies as highly as they will say publicly. Internally, they don't. That's clear. Or they wouldn't have done a Mani Lebock, Fassi, 10, 15 decision making. It just wouldn't have. It wouldn't make sense. So I think, the tight forwards sort of, they pick themselves. Ox is definitely someone who has a multi-skilled game. He goes at the back. He can scrum. He cleans. He carries. Marks is clearly the first choice hooker now. The old game where he was sort of the bomb squad guy doesn't really work if Bongi's struggling with some of his core duties. Wilco Low, pending holding place for Frans Malherbe, is definitely sort of the banker now at scrum. But he costs you a bit in defensive capabilities that France gives you. Not just because France is somehow more agile, but he just knows the system better. He knows where to be, and he's sort of a captain there. Eben was supposed to be, paired with Lewitt. Lewitt at this point looks like a question mark. There was a point at 25 minutes where he's running around like a zombie, and his hands sort of just floating, and he just couldn't keep up. So there's a wonder there.
But would you say that that's down to game time, or is it?
Could be. He's still a guy that, carries so well. He's got incredibly soft hands. He hits his marks on the pod. And probably his cleaning has to be worked on a little bit, and the ability to sustain that lactic acid and get down low. Japan has a sort of a gentleman's agreement in a way not to play too rough. Pieter-Steph du Toit, one of the great players of history. And then you have the sort of number 8 conundrum where we're pretending that there's not really a position called number 8 that's manned by 8th men who play, number 8, who know how to keep a ball at their feet to milk a scrum penalty. Like Sia doesn't know, hasn't done it that much at test level. The idea of someone playing that middle. So if Sia's playing the side, you'd almost wonder, like, maybe put Pieter-Steph at 8 then. Just someone who's a big enough body to stop that middle.
Or even like a Kobus Visser.
So we're waiting on Jasper Visser. Maybe, little brother is going to man that. And we have this aversion allergy to Evan Roos that needs to be cured or something.
Him and Rusty need to go to Caprice one Sunday and just iron out whatever the problem is. Or maybe the problem started at Caprice.
Yeah, I think it's the dad, actually. So, and I think that Rassi does like to punish you a little bit and show you, who's boss. And I think he sees in Evan a lot of himself. I think if there's one player that's the most like him in playing style, be Cameron Honeycomb, but in
I never thought of that.
Like just his belligerence and his, just an inability to sometimes read the room and play nice with others. And I think you're always hardest on your children or the people that you're around that remind you of yourself because it irritates you. So
please bring this up at the next press conference.
There you go. Get tossed out. So there's that. So if everyone's healthy, I think you see it. The question mark to me for 2027 is Sia, because maybe you do have to have a Fraser McWright. Maybe you do have to have an actual on-ball player if you're going to have so many wide rucks. Now, if we're going to make our rucks come to the middle again, and we're going to have maybe more non-rucks, or we're going to have more kicks over the top, a kick and a kick. So you actually regain a kick and then kick again, which actually works really well if you go to Coffin Corner. You don't have to have an on-ball fetcher because everyone's a fetcher, Damien Delende, Malcolm Marks. But I think if you're going to play this way, then you need to look at who is the person who can play 6. And you have to take really unsentimental, hard looks that are really gruesome and brutal.
Yeah.
Backline, I think.
Sorry, before you get to the backs there, how much does it bother you that Sia, if he gets there, is only going to be a 60-minute player anyway? Because, in a tight game, when you bring your captain off with 20 to go.
Yeah. He also said in press conference that he was demoralized almost by some of the reverses they had in the 22. And that's what tired him out. He wasn't tired sort of physically. It was more the emotional of not being able to convert and punch through or losing a line out. And that didn't strike me the same Sia. And also, I think at some point when you get everything you said you wanted in life, which has happened at least 4 times to me, you actually find out about yourself. You go, oh, wait, that wasn't really what I wanted. I wanted more. But sometimes you do get it, and then you have a hard time running into a wall again. You have a hard time finding that dark place. You don't want to wrestle around in the dark, in the mud for one knife when you could be home safe. And so everyone reaches that point different ways.
That was the whole Buster Douglas and the silk pajamas thing, right?
That's it.
You
So
don't get
Sia
up for training.
he might have found that place where it's not there for him. Whereas it looked like Australia was battling for pride to avoid, incredible humiliation. Harry Wilson looked like he would just keep running until all of his hamstrings burst out. So I think that's something to factor in. Rassi's always said it was about character and willingness to die. You lied, all that stuff. So where is it now? But I do think there are resources, and there are resources if you make that one decision, then other things flow from it. So if you keep trying to find a place for Sia because he wants to play that hour and have that ceremonial function, but if the real captain's someone else already, then let's just be honest about it now. Don't wait until. We also have this sort of weird cap gap where we have a lot of caps, sort of 60 to 100, and we have a lot of, 0 to 25, and we have this sort of bubble of nothingness around 40.
Which was where most of that team was on the up and up when we won those things.
So on your question of, you have to actually decide are the guys that are from about 5, like 1 cap to about 20 right now. You got to pick if it's Asanati or Vincent. You got to actually say right now, is it Lewitt or is Archia actually the starting lock? Is he my line-out caller or is it Nortia? Which one is it? Because then that's sort of your off lock. Ibben's never liked calling lineouts. He's not going to be a lineout captain. And you have to have, that mix. So I think the pack is still good enough. What I've just said is still good enough. You have one giant question mark at hooker, a backup hooker, and you got another giant question mark on, do you want to have an on-ball, ball slower, jackal pilfer guy, or do you not? And if you do, then I don't think Sia is your man to take you for 2 more years.
Yep. And now when you head into the backs in the same analytical context?
Your midfield's rock solid, right? It's one of the great midfields in history.
Yep.
The age profiles are fine if they can just take care of their bodies. There's something very rock solid about that. You have natural understudies in Andre, who doesn't have as good ball security in my mind and also doesn't understand the defensive system. So it makes Jesse look bad on an island. But he's still there. Ethan Hooker is obviously a bright spark. I'm not sure about Kanan Moody as understudy. I kind of still think he should be a big wing.
I totally agree with you.
Could take cross kicks and stretch you out. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's quick enough in the hips. And then I think on wings, you have this sort of assembly line of people that it looks like you can have. Like you look at guys like Kurtley Arnsa, and even though it's not that many caps, you still trust him if he's physically okay. They looked a bit burned out. At fullback, it's a straight shootout. It's Willemse and Fassi probably battling for that succession role. And then I still think Pollard is your steerer, your pilot in a storm. And then you have the ability to do some horsey-coursey stuff for 23. If you go 6'2", if you go 5'3", you can say, I want Sasha to be my player 23 or I want someone else. But I think that's some play. That's fine. At number 9, I think scrum offs, you increasingly looks like Grant Williams is the sort of the favored one. He seems to have a really nice kick nowadays. It floats, it hangs, it's got a 4-second time. He is a danger. Kobus is getting quite old, actually. Faf is none too young. So you're looking probably at Mornay as maybe that successor role. I'd let them bet in and let's see if Mornay can be at 25 caps, going into 2027.
But do you see it as a combination choice, though? So you'd only pick Mornay if it's Andre, or you only pick Mornay if it's Sasha, or you only pick Grant if it's Sasha. I mean, do you see it more about the combinations because of what you said earlier around the fact that you need this sort of odd couple relationship here to really make something go? Because a 9-10, especially when it comes World Cup time, that access is crucial.
I still think, and I'll always think this, that if I can cut the time from the ball, from the base, with a really strong bullet pass from 9 to whoever, a forward, a 10, a 12, that's one of the best things in rugby.
Yeah.
Like all good things come from that. So I would be so nerdy as to time that and make sure I knew exactly, if you're in practice and 40, 50 balls later, who's still got the zip, that chip technology that shows me the spiral turn, the easiest to catch. I love that for Andre. I want Andre to get the ball with as much time as possible. So if it's Mornay, it's Mornay. Williams obviously quicker on the feet. So maybe that's more of a late game, situation. So that's me. I was just telling you what I think this current brain trust is doing is they like Grant's ability to use the space that the new emphasis in the laws has given nines and do the DuPont, but with quicker feet. Use that sort of I'm untouchable, and I think they're also looking at where the game's going, and wondering about where they're going, right? I still maybe am more of a purist about nines. If you can finish your pass where you're still crouched, like Cam Roygard, I just feel like it's such a weapon because the ball gets there 0.03, 0.04 quicker, and then everyone is better. Everyone's better.
Everyone. It's a massive domino effect if everyone could do their jobs better and easier.
Yep.
Harry, look, I didn't start this podcast feeling like it was a panic station, and I definitely finish it not feeling like it is a panic station either. I think the very good point that you make there was that within the squad, we've got the 15-23 to go to New Zealand and get it done. And I think as a natural result after that, when managed, I still think we got it to go do the three-peats in 2027. But there's just, it's just what makes being a rugby fan so damn fun. Like, we can go through permutations forever and ever. I just desperately wanted you to go to 1 to 15 because, I agree with you on so many of those points there. There's always going to be a plan B. There's always going to be things that aren't going to go according to plan. And I think this team has given us the impression that they are the best at that. And for the first time, we didn't see it on the weekend. So I think that's when the panic station comes into it. But they've got a hell of an opportunity to kind of get back in our good book, so to speak, although that's not their primary goal. They're professionals. They got jobs here. We're just the drunk guys on the side getting very animated about this.
To watch this full episode, click here. To watch previous episodes of the On The Bounce show, click here. Or catch us every Thursday on the Real Network from 4 p.m. SA time.